Hey everybody. So today's video, I just wanted to talk about snacks. Snacks is something that always comes up, whether it's with a brand new client, more often with a brand new client, or pretty much anybody, no matter where they are in the journey. And as far as what it is exactly around snacks that people are wondering about or asking about, well, number one, it's what should I be snacking on? That, for whatever reasons, seems to be the biggest mystery to people is what should I eat for a snack? I think the reason that it's such a tough topic for people is because if you're switching over to eating like whole foods most of the time, like you're thinking about your classic protein, vegetable, and carbohydrate, to think about that in terms of, okay, well, how do I transition that over into a snack? That's where it gets a little bit tricky. Because most snack foods, like we're used to growing up, they come in some form of packaging. It's like a bag of chips or whatever, right? So something like a little bit less ideal in terms of whether it's whole foods or not. So I want to just first kind of demystify that. And it's okay for snacks on occasion to be somewhat processed. It's a snack. It's something that's probably going to be more in line with what a yellow light food is. And if you've listened to me long enough, we know that we have green light foods, those are foods that you consume most of the time, and they lead you towards your goals. Yellow light foods are foods that you eat some of the time, i.e. a snack in the day, one time per day or so. And they still lead you to your goals, but you're not fully dependent on them. And then there's red light foods where those do not serve you. Like a donut really isn't going to help you in any way. In fact, it can detract from your goals based on a number of things. But just so you understand the context of what I mean by yellow light food. So snacks, it's okay for those to come in the form of some kind of packaging, although it's perfectly reasonable to find snack foods that don't involve that. I'll get into that a little bit later. The other thing that is confusing for people around snacks is, when you should eat them. Well, my advice is if you're going to snack, you should know, or let me backtrack that. If you're going to snack, you should know why. And for most people, the only reason to snack is if there's an extended period of time between meals where there's a risk of you getting really, really hungry before your next meal. So let's say you have breakfast at 7 a.m., but usually you don't eat lunch until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, there's a pretty good chunk of hours in there where you can develop some ravenous hunger. And again, if you know anything about my work with people, we want to avoid ravenous hunger. You want to accept and tolerate low levels of hunger, but the hunger I'm talking about where all bets are off. You're going to end up in the pantry and you're going to eat whatever you can get your hands on, right? So we want to avoid that. And that is really, to me, the best purpose for a snack. Snacking because you're bored, snacking because you're emotionally stressed out, snacking because there's a hand-to-mouth fixation. For example, if you stopped a bad smoking habit or something, there's this kind of motion that people want to compensate with it. Those are some reasons to not snack, right? To fill a void, to fill time, to do something while you're doing something sedentary, right? So if you're Netflix and chill, snacks and movies, they go hand in hand. Those are not reasons to have a snack when you're on a particular, goal path. So let's go back to, okay, what are some options for snacking? I want to show you basically what I do, and then I want to show you and talk about some other options that I don't necessarily have available because I haven't been eating them lately. But one thing that I like to do, and actually let me back up just 1 second. One thing that's great about what I'm going to show you is that you can have all of these individual, but then you can literally put all of them together for one ultimate final form snack. Okay. So one thing, remember when I said, okay, it's okay for some of your snack food to be sort of processed? Well, and again, I'm not sponsored by any of these things. I wish I were, but I'm not. These are just things that I enjoy to eat. So one thing can be a cereal. This is called Magic Spoon cereal. Basically, it has a high level of protein, low level sugar, but you can kind of trick yourself into thinking that you're eating that delicious sugary cereal that you ate when you were a kid, or perhaps that you dig into a little bit because your kids have them. But this is Magic Spoon cereal. And like I said, so basically per serving, you've got yourself 14 grams of protein, 10 grams of carbs, 9 grams of fat. So it's actually pretty calorically dense. So you don't need a lot of it in order to get a lot of satiation out of it. But basically, this is one option. I eat it dry. Like, I'll just have a few handfuls, and that's a good snack, and it holds me over. But of course, you can mix it with your almond milk or whatever you'd like to, or regular milk. It's not a problem. Okay, so another snack option that I like is just your plain protein powder, right? Whether it's going to go into ultimately a mixed shake, which is sort of a meal. I don't even like calling it a meal replacement because it is a meal. If you have your protein, if you add in other protein sources like yogurt, for example, you add some frozen fruits and vegetables, you add some avocado for a fat source. That can be a great snack. But if you want to have just a snack without all the other stuff, I consider basically just your milk and protein powder. That's going to be plenty of a snack. You have 2 scoops of this, you're having somewhere between 180, 250 grams, or rather calories, right? Sort of per serving, depending on how many scoops you put in there, which, a snack sits somewhere between, 200 to 400 calories, depending on the size of your snack. So a go-to is protein powder. That can come in plant form as well. So you can get your pea-based protein, or you can have your regular sort of whey-based protein. There's rice protein out there as well. Other variations of protein depending on, whether you eat animal products or not. Okay, so that's your protein powder right there. It's a go-to. You can definitely get away with that. Is it the tastiest thing in the world? No. But what's the intention with the snack? It's to stave off ravenous hunger. So you don't have to, it doesn't have to be some kind of artisan snack that is just appealing in all ways. Another thing is oatmeal. Again, it's kind of in the cereal category, but it's a grain that I really, really like. I think it's very tasty. It doesn't spike the blood sugar. It does have a high amount of carbohydrates. There's 27 grams per serving. So half a cup of dry oatmeal is going to get you 27 grams of carb. That's a huge carb hit. So you got to be careful with how much you necessarily consume. Of course, you can have this dry, or you can just make it and with either water or milk or a mixture. Okay, so oatmeal is a really, really quick snack. If you're like me and you don't really care how good it tastes, you can have oatmeal within like 30 seconds. Put it in a bowl, put some milk on it, throw it in the microwave, dude, honestly, and then it's done. Another thing, one of my favorites, I eat yogurt pretty much all day, right? I understand it's dairy, but you have to question, oh my gosh, he eats dairy, what's wrong with him? Well, if you don't eat dairy, question yourself, why? Are you actually lactose intolerant, or do you have a problem tolerating dairy in any way? If the answer is no, you got to wonder, why are you avoiding dairy? I don't have a huge problem with it. I don't have a problem with it at all. Anyway, so this is obviously yogurt that can be consumed on its own, just like everything else here, for a snack that's going to give you a good dosage of protein. And to clarify, the oatmeal doesn't have protein in it, so I always suggest, if you're going to have a snack, try to get some protein in there. But I'll explain how you can add protein to oatmeal in just a moment. But yeah, for the purpose of keeping it sort of lower calorie while trying to be in a deficit, I opt for the lower fat yogurt, but this has 14 grams per serving. That's great. And one serving is 3/4 of a cup, or 170 grams in weight. And like the cereal, how much was the cereal? It was about 170 grams per serving, or rather 170 calories. This is 130 calories per serving. Perfectly fine for a snack, something to have between meals to just sort of top off where your hunger is, to make sure you don't dip into, oh my gosh, I am starving mode, right? Okay, so other things that are not pictured here or shown here are things like hard-boiled eggs. You could hard-boil a dozen, maybe 2 dozen eggs all at once. You've got yourself plenty of snack for the week. When it comes to eggs, I can only eat them under certain circumstances. For example, putting some salt and pepper, maybe a little bit of mustard, and some hot sauce, right? So I got to have other things with the eggs. If I'm in a crunch, I'll definitely down, a hard-boiled egg without anything on it. I just have to nibble it. Can't put a whole egg in my mouth. I just don't like to do that. So eggs are a fantastic source. Chopped up apple with about 1 to 2 tablespoons tops of almond butter or peanut butter. You just have to be careful with the nut butters because it's very dense. A tablespoon has, 125, 150 calories to it, so just watch out. So you can do that with celery, you can do that with apple, you can do that with banana, whatever it is you're looking to do. If you want to keep it on the low sugar end, I would go more towards, something like having the peanut butter with the celery, right? So you got to kind of mix and match what you want to get there. Another thing would be basically a protein bar. So one of the brands that I use and Coach Natalia uses, we use Quest protein bars. The net carbs is relatively low, which means at the end of the day, you don't have to get a ton of carbs coming in from this protein bar. It has, I can't remember off the top of my head how much protein. I don't know, maybe between 15 and 20 grams. So it's a great protein hit there, and it's probably around 200 calories. You eat that, you eat half of it now, half of it later. It really helps satiate you until that next meal. Or if you're somebody who needs like a quote unquote midnight snack, or you eat dinner at 7 o'clock and then by 10 o'clock you're kind of like, oh boy, I really wish you could eat something like that protein bar, because it has, it tries to mimic what? A candy bar, right? So obviously it's not going to taste like candy bar completely. But when you're living really healthy and you're not having a ton of sugar, I promise you, the taste of a protein bar can really help satiate that desire for something like a Snickers bar, for example. As I promised, I'd like to tell you, essentially, you can mix up all of this. So I'll just do it for you in real time. Stay right there. Okay, so if you're like, dude, I'm so bored all the time, my snack doesn't taste very good, I'm about to show you how to make an absolute mind-blowing snack, and it's also a dessert, but guess what? It's also really healthy. This is literally what I do on a daily basis. I got my yogurt, it's tasty, I take a spoonful here, I take a spoonful there. Okay, cool, dude. I got my yogurt up in there. I know that's gonna be tasty, even on its own, it's gonna be delicious. Let's see. What else should I have for my snack today? Well, I want some oatmeal, because I really just love oatmeal mixed in there with some with my yogurt. That's tasty. All right, it's going to add a little bit of sort of dry texture into that low-fat Greek yogurt, vanilla flavored. What else do I want to do? Well, I don't know, dude. I want to have a little bit of protein. So I'm going to put a little scoop. I don't have my scooper on me right now. This is banana and vanilla flavored. And okay, no, I'm not just going to leave it in there. I'm going to mix it in, and it's going to get a little bit, of a pudding sort of flavor here, a pudding texture, if you will. So I'm just, I'm stirring that up until you get, most of the powder disintegrates into the yogurt. Delicious. Okay, so what else do I like to do? Well, I like cereal. So I want to have more things to crunch. So what am I going to do? I'm going to open this cereal. I just grab myself a handful of these bad boys, sprinkle them in there like that. Did you hear that? That's the sound of deliciousness entering the bowl. We love that. That's going to be really tasty. So I mix that in there. I don't like to crunch it up, Oh my gosh, my stomach is growling because I know my stomach knows how amazing this is going to be. Unfortunately, I can't eat it right now. Okay, actually that's coming up last. What do I want to do? I want to have a little bit of cold hit my mouth. I want to be able to crunch into some hard, flavorful ice texture. That's where my frozen bloobs are going to come into play. That's frozen blueberries for the folks at home, okay? Right there. All right, so I've mixed that guy in there a little bit. Okay, now for the, delicious. Now, I'm not done yet. One last thing. If I have a sugar addiction, I'm going to use, instead of sugar, I'm going to use monk fruit extract, okay? 0 calories, 0 sugars, 0 protein, 8 grams of carbs, but 1 teaspoon is a serving, all right? What's the big deal there? Not a problem. So I take that and I sprinkle those bad boys in there. And you know what? I don't mix it in because I like to get a barrage of monk fruit extract in my mouth. It's amazing when I hit those, okay? So, but you can mix it in, of course. Now, you've got yourself basically a man bowl just full of all the snacks that I just talked about. Can I tell you something else? If I have a protein bar, sometimes I'll chop that guy up and I'll throw it in there. It's unreal, okay? So I'm gonna save this for later as much as I wanna eat it now. I'm actually not hungry, which I have the willpower to not eat a snack when I don't need one. And you should develop that too. Somehow it's been 15 minutes already, so I'm gonna let you guys go. But hopefully this was as amazing as I think it was. If you have any other questions about snacks, I do wanna know. But let's solve the mystery of when should I eat and what should I eat for a snack. I just showed you guys here. I talked the majority of this time and it was for 15 minutes. How long would this take me to actually make? I bet you I would get it done in under 90 seconds. And then, if you're on phone calls, whatever, you just keep this to the side. It's better to savor it anyway. You need to slow down your eating. You're doing your work. You take a little spoonful of this magical concoction. You go back to work. You know what I'm saying here, okay? Don't let snacks stop you, all right? This is plenty, but this is a pretty high calorie snack. So just make sure it fits into how many servings of protein, carb, fat you need, which of course you can always just refer to your nutrition blueprint to see where that lands. All right, again, that's it. Thank you so much for paying attention. If you know somebody who has trouble with nutrition, show them this video, share it. Yeah, and that's it. All right, you guys, talk to you soon. Bye.